Top 75, asterisk 76 because people split votes. You know, let's pretend for a minute now that we can take someone out, put someone in, right? Someone who is more deserving in our eyes. Um, and you can make a case there could be 10, 15 players that when you do the stat crunching and the error and the impact, we can really we can really shift some people around. But I'm going to stick with just four. Okay. So I'm going to go with an easy one to go with, right? I'm going to go Lillard and Anthony Davis, right? Two players that have yet to finish their careers, have had some form of impact, right? Anthony Davis with the title, but then a lack of games played. And I think we're starting to see a trend here that he's going to have a bit of a checkered career. He's going to get there. He might get another ring, but that's about as far as it's going. Damian Lillard, if he gets that Portland ring, he probably skyrockets straight to the Dirk and Giannis contention, right? In that sort of spot. But I also think that until that happens, he maybe isn't warranted on the list. So who do I put on there? Well, because they chose to put in two players that have yet to finish their careers and they're banking on, superstars, and they did it with Shaq back in, 92 when it was the 50 years. I think you swap them out for Jokic and Doncic. Two players that have already gotten a little bit of legs into their career are doing things that are much more impressive than Anthony Davis and Lillard have done. And I think high probability or a higher probability to pull off the Giannis and Dirk route, where they get that Cinderella run and they win a title for that team. And I think we can safely say they'll both be on the top 100 list, but I'm gonna shift them around and put them in there now. Those are the two potential picks. So I'll let you contest those first, because then I have two longevity ones that I want to go for.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I think when this list came out, Jokic had no MVPs. Is that correct?
No, it came out
Or had
last
one.
year, and he had
So
already had one
he
by
had
that point.
one MVP. Is that right?
Yep, yep.
I think I think it's all about timing here. I'm not sure exactly when it came out, this list. I know it came out a little while ago, and we're talking about the list that been circulating around a while. I'm sure many people have broken it down in similar ways. Uh, Look, Jokic and Doncic, no doubt, are going to be a top 100. Uh, I think the reality is that until Jokic got his first MVP, no one really thought about it. That put him on the radar. And maybe it's a bit of an oversight, but it's like Laurie Markkinen. He's one you talk about, and he's always had a lot of potential. He came in as a fairly high draft pick, and it took a while to put it together. Now at the Jazz, somehow he's stringing together some good numbers. Is Laurie Markkinen now going to then bounce his numbers further up to move into some sort of conversation like this? Probably not. Probably not. That's the point I'm trying to make here. And no one really knew what Jokic was capable of doing until we saw that in the last 2 years, and then now he's doing it for the third year, and then he entered that sort of dual MVP conversation. So I think again it's a timing here that look, I'm gonna agree that AD and Lillard may not be fully deserving of being on this list. But I'm going to say Jokic and Doncic to an extent too. That when he came in, put up great numbers. So did Tyreek Evans when he came into the NBA. He was the next hot thing. Remember him? Yeah, rocky season, 25-5. He was going to be an all-star for many years to come. And then what happened there? And there's lots of stories like that. And I guess no one knew which way it was going to go. And now there's a bit more of a track record. And yeah, I've already said Doncic will play rocket into the top 5 or top 10 of this list, dependent on how many championships he wins by the time he's done. Okay, so that's the real litmus test, I guess. But I would probably pick some different names. I would probably pick some different names to fill those two spots that slide out. And I'm just curious, what are your other couple of names here? Because maybe it's those names.
Well, let's pretend we don't take out Anthony Davis and Damian Lillard. I'm throwing more people out of the list. Bill Sharman, which is number 76, he's coming out. And when I read the ESPN recap of it, he is a classic case of winning championships with Boston when they were the only team that was really good and they had stacked players. But he had a free throw percentage record of 93.2 that lasted for 2 decades. That's really his lasting impact on the game. That just doesn't hold up. I think it doesn't hold up against the other careers. Is that historically significant? If you ask the average person, hey, who was the free throw percentage leader for the 60s and 70s, I don't think Bill Sharman's popping up on people's things. And I can see you Googling it. And so anyone who was watching this would be Googling as well. What on earth is the deal with Bill Sharman? So can safely kick him out of the list. And this one's going to come as a little bit more of a contention. Carmelo Anthony, right? Carmelo Anthony is a fascinating player. I think his career is pretty much done. I don't think he's going to get picked up at this point. He played 1,260 games. He averaged 22 points, 6 rebounds, 2.7 assists, and his most successful season was losing to the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals. He bounced around from team to team, and he had a bit of a fall off as his career kind of came to an end. He's a scorer. He's your classic NBA Hall of Famer of he scored 20,000 points and he gets into the Hall of Fame. Other than that, I don't understand what his presence is on this list. And now I'll introduce the person who should replace him. Dwight Howard is the clear omission, I think, on everybody's list. You're talking about a defensive player of the year. You're talking about a blocks champion, a rebounds champion. You're talking about multiple All-Stars, NBAs, made the finals, ruined a LeBron Kobe matchup, clearly deserving, and then eventually got his title in a different role, but still being quite an impactful player. Clearly one of them that should have been on. And then this one, it's a harder case to make, but I need to skew the stats a little bit to help me, but not in a dodgy way. Pau Gasol, a Memphis franchise player for a period of time, goes to the Lakers, assists Kobe in getting those 2 rings. There are other players on this list that have been a beneficiary of someone better carrying them to a ring, but obviously the stats don't look great. He averaged 17 and 9 over his career, but I do need to highlight that once the Lakers run was over, he went to Chicago, still productive for those 2 years. Then he went to San Antonio, and then it fell apart, right? And here is a fun fact for anyone listening, because I've only found this out right now while reading. He played on Milwaukee for 3 games. He actually played on Milwaukee for 3 games, averaging a solid 1.3 points. The last 5 years of his career, it was a nosedive, right, of the stats. But the impact at his prime, more than deserving, in my opinion. Maintained 10 years of averaging essentially 20 and 9, and with 2 titles, definitely better than, not as good as Bill Sharman's 4 titles, but I think a bit more impactful than a free throw record in a dud era of the league. But tell me what you think.
I think let's go to the obvious point here. Dwight Howard should be on the list. I think that was one of the biggest names that was floated around when this list came about, and talking about names like Lillard, Anthony Davis, Bill Sharman. Actually, now I've got more questions than answers about Bill Sharman. Who the hell was Bill Sharman? But sure, he shot free throws really well. So sure, maybe you got a justifiable point there, and there's probably even less YouTube footage of Bill Sharman. So I don't know. We'll see, right? But and Carmelo Anthony, yeah, absolutely. This question will, is he a top 75 player of all time, and why? So, and I guess if we're talking about from an NBA perspective, because you can make the argument he was a highly successful college player, but by the time he jumped in the NBA, he scored a lot of points, but he never got made to the NBA finals or anything like that in that sort of sense. So Dwight Howard took the Magic to the finals. We did fall short, obviously, against Kobe and Gasol, obviously, and I think 3-time Defensive Player of the Year. And at his peak, he was a beast. He was a beast. Number 1 pick, Rookie of the Year, I believe, too. It was a Okafor Rookie of the Year. No, now I'm feeling that. Right. Who was the Rookie of the Year? Was Okafor Rookie of the Year or Dwight Howard? I don't know. Now, feel like a fact we should know. Feel like a fact that we should know, right? Yeah, but I'm like, mind blank. Actually, mind blank. Who won?
No, because Dwight Howard was the number 1 pick. I don't believe. I think Emeka Okafor was a different draft, but I am curious now who won the Rookie of the Year in his draft. So I'll find that out while you keep talking.
So look, Dwight Howard, I think, definitely has enough accolades to make this list, and he's missing on that list. You raised Paul Gasol, and look, if we're sliding 4 names out of this list, you could make the case for him there. He's obviously got a further case to suggest he's an international superstar. He was a big player for Spain for all those years in his prime. And you sort of said his game fell off in the last few years because he got old and injured. And I guess, and that sort of jogged my memory here. There's probably a name on this list that could be, based upon some of the players that are on this list, that that isn't on this list. And two names that jump to their mind. One is Vince Carter. Yeah, for the longevity that he was, for the way he changed the game, and sure, he didn't have any huge personal accolades, was never an MVP or anything like that. In fact, his career play fell short of what everyone thought it might be and the hype that he was when he came into the league. But he also made the finals, I think, two years in a row with Jay Kidd and Richard Jefferson at the Nets there, and they fell short. But he's been in the bigger stages. So again, you could say Vince Carter is greater than Carmelo or greater than Lillard at this point of his career, in that sort of sense. So, I think there are definitely those sort of names that could definitely be in that list too.
Vince Carter was considered. I think he's your classic case of a very long career. To me, like if you had Carmelo off the list and Vince Carter on the list, we would be talking about should Carmelo have been on the list because they just have similar careers. They're scorers, right? They're scorers and they took their teams to the conference finals. That's really what it boils
But
down
Vince
to.
Carter has achieved much more than Carmelo. I think we'd have to agree on that.
Are you sure? What am I missing
what does Carmelo achieve? Like has Carmelo made any finals?
Has Vince Carter?
Yeah, two. The
Which
Nets.
one?
Did he not make the finals?
You're right. Okay, no, that's it. We don't need to argue anymore. I'm back in agreement. I forgot that he played on the Nets.
The Nets.
I forgot that he played on the Nets. Yeah, I forgot. Did he make the final? Hold on. The one caveat here: did he make the finals or did he join them after they made the finals? Because that's where I feel like we might be wrong. Like, because he joined them in 2004, but the Nets lost in 01-02.
Now if you need some googling, right?
Well, I mean, the reason why I'm asking those questions is because I'm googling it. I've instantly retracted my apology, and he played in Toronto for the 2 years that they made
so
made finals. So he hasn't made a finals.
So what, he made conference finals with the Nets?
I think he made conference finals or semi-conference finals with Toronto. Orlando, maybe.
No, not Orlando. Definitely not Orlando. I can tell that.
He was on there in 09. He was there 09, 010.
Orlando.
Yeah, according to Basketball Reference.
Maybe it was traded before then. Now I feel like we needed some more facts in front of us.
What are we doing?
Before we open the Vince Carter can of worms.
Yeah, well, okay. To throw it back real quick, Emeka Okafor did win the Rookie of the Year over Dwight Howard, just averaged about 3 more points, really, and a rebound. That's what would have done it for him. Look, I think we're all in agreement here. Bill Sharman. Who's Bill Sharman? But I think everybody really has had that debate. Carmelo Anthony, I'm glad that you agreed with me on the put up a lot of points, but what else did he do? I think there's lots of people that could have been on that list for him, right? And then, you're looking at a couple of these top 76. They had shorter careers, right? They played 10 seasons or so. Larry Bird's a good example, played, 13, 14 seasons, but was phenomenal for that time. Same for Magic Johnson. And then there's other players that played for 20 years, but still only had that 13, 14-year real stint, or even smaller, right? So I think obviously whoever's engaging with this video, the comment section is your domain. Go nuts. Who did we miss? How are we wrong? How should we fix this? Should we just be quiet? It's a great list. What do you think?
Yo, this is Two Guys with Spare Time. I'm Faz, this is Nick. You're probably a basketball fan like us, so hopefully you can throw us an assist and giving our video a like and subscribing to our channel.
And if you got thoughts, feelings, or even some suggestions, please put them down in the comment section below. And thank you for using your spare time to watch us in our spare time.
Yo, this is Two Guys with Spare Time. I'm Faz, this is Nick. You're probably a basketball fan like us, so hopefully you can throw us an assist and giving our video a like and subscribing to our channel.
And if you got thoughts, feelings, or even some suggestions, please put them down in the comment section below. And thank you for using your spare time to watch us in our spare time.